So as Matt said, I want to share with you two customer stories, easy customer stories, but I think they're still quite remarkable and inspiring, of two Splunk customers. And I think these two stories are really a kind of nice illustration of what Splunk customers are doing with machine data, and why we think that also you should really listen to your data, and more specifically machine data. So before I get into the customer scenarios, let me give you a little bit of context what we at Splunk have been focusing on. So Splunk has been, since it was started, really focusing on what we call machine data. And in fact, we have made it our mission to make machine data accessible, usable, and valuable for everyone. That is our mission, very simple. You might ask, what is machine data? What is this guy talking about? So as the name indicates, very simple, machine data is coming from machines. Sometimes we refer to it also as digital exhaust. Think of it first and foremost really of your entire IT stack. So your servers, your virtualization environment, your networking gear, your security devices. So pretty much everything that processes some data has this type of digital exhaust. And it shouldn't be a surprise that machine data is actually one of the fastest growing and also one of the most complex and challenging kind of segments of big data overall. It certainly meets these four criteria of big data, the four V's: generated at high velocity in large volumes, incredibly diverse. If you look at the different sources where it's coming from, and sometimes it can be also from a single source, pretty diverse. And that's really what we are looking at. So, what can you do with machine data? It's kind of really interesting. I mean, Splunk has meanwhile 7,000 customers, more than 7,000 customers that use our product in production. And there's a pretty broad spectrum of things that our customers are doing with machine data. And you see here, some of the main buckets that we see the industry really leveraging machine data and our product. So one is clearly IT operations. They listen to their machines to make sure that they are actually running well, that there are no major issues and the system is down. We have a lot of customers that are using and listening to their machine data for security and compliance purposes. We see increasingly customers tapping also into machine data for gaining visibility into their business. How well is their business doing? And you will hear later in one of the stories, or actually in both of the stories, some interesting business insights that these companies are gaining from it. In terms of machines, we are seeing increasingly also stuff outside the data center. So think of any sort of device that is out there. Of course, mobile devices, transportation equipment, trains, airplanes, elevators, healthcare equipment, Fitbits, healthcare patient monitoring devices and stuff like that. So what is really referred to as the Internet of Things. And there are some interesting applications about that as well, and you will hear one of the customer examples that is exactly in that area. So, first customer example, think pizza. Actually, I guess most of you might be familiar with that type of business. Our customer, Dominos Pizza, is obviously in a pretty fast-moving business. And what is important for them is that these systems are running. I mean, customers want to have their stuff fast, they want to have a quick response. At big events like the, what is the big baseball event in the US? The Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl. So, at the wrong sports. So think about Super Bowl, for example. At that time, Domino's has about a throughput of $100,000 of revenue per minute through their eCommerce side. So certainly very bad if that thing is down and they need to protect it and make sure that this is running. So what Domino's achieved actually with using machine data and our product was to reduce their basically time to resolution of issues in their data center by 95%, much quicker response. What they also were able to do is to consolidate actually their machine data into one single environment. So one of the things that we see very often with customers is that they have their machine data extremely distributed over many different systems, and it's very difficult to kind of gain insight, by trying to correlate that data that is really distributed in these multiple systems. So, and that's one of the problems that Domino solved with using our product. What's also kind of pretty common to see is that customers mature really in the usage of machine data. So Dominos Pizza started really, first and foremost using machine data for troubleshooting, but then also quickly figured out that they can use it for continuously and proactively monitoring their IT environments, and then ultimately, derive also business insight from it. So, after using the system for some time, the marketing department became interested and thought, hey, this is great. We actually can see, what products on the menu are really popular with customers, and also what type of coupons they are using. Yeah, and they are using Splunk now in real time to actually tweak some of their coupons and also have, a complete geographic view of how customers are reacting to offerings in the different regions and stores that the company has. Now, let's switch gears, literally different industry and different company, New York Airbrake. So New York Airbrake is actually a supplier for the train freight industry. I didn't know too much about that before, but this is actually a $70 billion industry. And one of the things I found quite remarkable is that it's actually a very fuel efficient type of industry. So to move 1 ton of freight 500 miles, they are consuming 1 gallon. I mean, compare that to the efficiency of your car. Yeah, but nevertheless, it's a very fuel intensive type of industry. So out of those $70 billion of revenue, this industry spends more than $10 billion actually on fuel consumption. And one other area of focus for this industry is certainly safety. Sometimes we hear about, bad train accidents and stuff like that, so that's definitely also a big concern. So what is New York Airbrake doing? New York Airbrake is actually a supplier of train control systems, components like brakes and also simulators to train basically drivers to be better drivers. And what they did, they basically equipped 5,000 and more trains with sensors that gives them real-time information about forces that are exerted on trains, about fuel activity, fuel consumption, really as a live view, and also driver behavior. And what they got out of it, the system now they built, is that they actually achieved fuel consumption improvements between 8 to 12%. So if you apply this actually to this $10+ billion fuel bill that the industry has, we are actually saving them in a year now about $1 billion across multiple carriers in the industry in fuel consumption. What it also helped them to achieve was to better monitor their drivers and alert them to hazardous situations and improve their driving behavior, which really improves in the end also the safety record of this industry. So, and last but not least, these were 2 examples of Splunk customers using machine data. We have today more than 7,000 customers that are listening to their machine data to actually improve operational efficiencies, but also gain more insight into their business. And I think you should also really listen to your data, listen to your machine data, and listen to your machines. There is a lot of value that can be gained from this. Thank you very much.
Guido, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to change